Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the session. We'll go live and get started in next 10 seconds. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast on the AI agents and automated material or master data creation from Verdantis. Uh, my name is Rohan Salvi. I work as Associate Director at Verdantis. Thank you, everyone who has tuned in for being part of this session. And we look forward to having a very fruitful session today. As a company, we are AI super agents focused on MRO. There are few data platforms and which we'll see in the session today. But then uh, what we really want to focus on in the session today is how our network of AI agents assists in helping our customers or helping users maintain, create, govern the master data through an automated way or through a touchless process at times. Okay. There are six agents which I would be speaking about today. Just to give you a brief background on the data platforms of Verdantis, Harmonize is the platform for standardizing the existing master data, enriching it, making sure that if there are any potential duplicates, eliminating it, filling the gaps, and then creating a consolidated view that can be shared enterprise wide. Now, this is specific to materials, vendors, services, equipment. Harmonize works well with all these type of master data. Again, the crux of this is the maintenance, repairs, and operations, or MRO as we call it. On the other hand, integrity is the ongoing data governance platform, which helps us govern the master data on an ongoing basis. It's a platform where you can have different role-based access setup. Users can access the platform, trigger creation, updation, request, search for master records in the system. While they do so, they can also initiate extension or sharing of records across the organization. There are AI agents that both platforms can call upon through API based calls, and again, giving the entire solution a very modular framework where depending on the use case we can have the AI platforms implemented. Now when it comes to MRO 360, this is a platform that focuses on enterprise asset management. Again, there are a few use cases that we are looking at here, starting with demand forecasting, making sure that we are managing the criticality down to the spare part level by looking at the historical failure rates, historical consumption records, looking at the asset criticality as well, and then also the predictive maintenance, which heavily relies on the reorder point, reorder quantities, then what are the mins and max values of the enterprise asset management. But now, quickly speaking about what the AI agents exactly do, and we'll cover some of these today. And the focus today would be primarily on AutoDocAI, which is the agent for processing multiple, variations of documentation. But let me quickly brief about what the agents do. If there is legacy information in the master data, AutoSpec AI is able to read through the legacy data, extract the information, and build a robust, consistent master record. On the other hand, AutoEnrichAI, this agent is able to perform research on online sources. If there is a vendor for whom you are looking to create in your governance system, AutoEnrichAI can do the research, get the address details, and fill in the information for the vendor at a click of a button, so that the user always gets the accurate information about the vendor or customer, or even the materials spare parts as well. So SpareSeek AI is where the agent goes one step beyond and it does a research to find out what are the suitable alternatives, replacement parts available in public domain. OpsoCheck AI. Now, this agent does a real-time detection of what has been discontinued in the market. So it does a check towards, okay, uh, uh, in my upcoming forecast, are there items that are reaching an end-of-life scenario? Because then, from a maintenance perspective, it is important that you have a suitable alternative or replacement identified that can meet business's requirements, so that when the scheduled maintenance actually arrives, you have the right those set of parts to execute the maintenance activities. Now, coming to the focus sessions, for today. AutoDocAI, this agent is able to process documents. So when I use the agent in a use case of creating a vendor, this agent is able to read through documents such as W9 form, a vendor registration form, extract information from these documents, and help build a highly reliable vendor record. On the other hand, if you have engineering drawings or a procurement catalog, the agent can pull information from these, including information for instances where it pulls details from nameplates of equipment. Now, why this is all important is because the many times the quality of the master data cannot be solely relied upon based on the input that the user provides or based on what is available online, but it is also important to take into account the documents that are associated with the records that are being set up to ensure that we create a robust complete record every single time. And then sorry, and then source IQ. Now this is the agent that drives touchless master data governance process, making sure that it looks at historical and active documentation, invoices, quotations, and finds out, okay, what is really important for the business. So it performs agentic analysis where you can have a GPT like interface to query on records real time, identify based on the criteria entered by the user in his prompt what is relevant, and then even have master records created directly out of source IQ. I'll show all of this in action on our governance platforms as well. Now, let me transition over to the agents, and we can quickly look at starting with Autodoc AI. So now in Autodoc AI, there are several modules, and each module serves as a different purpose. Right, this agent is specifically utilized for processing documentation. How can we extract information from the documents in a meaningful format? Now, let's say we have a asset catalog or a equipment manual, and there are a lot of subcomponents or part lists which is part of the catalog. Then how can we automate the process of extracting all this information and then building a list of parts that can be leveraged for building the master record? So this is where Autodoc AI can support us. Here, what I have to simply do is, so this can be done manually where I can upload multiple documents actually, or we can do it through an integration process where I can upload the PDF version or the document. It supports multiple formats as well, but the document, I'll just quickly show what this document contains. Now this is a, let me bring the right screen up. This is a high performance tillage. It is an agricultural product. While these assets has all these different specifications, as we scroll down, we can see that within the document there are multiple spares or components and sub assemblies which are listed. Now, generally, you would want to identify the critical ones that are required from a maintenance standpoint and create the bill of material accordingly. But then identifying all the materials list from this catalog can be a really painful activity where you have to scroll through, like this one has 57 pages. Now what Autodoc AI does is it is able to read through the document, interpret what these components are, and pull out the list of components, and it also is able to build a hierarchical structure. So I'll just start the process. It should take just maybe a few seconds. Now, this can be done one document at a time, 50 documents at a time, or we can have an API based process where through the integration, it can process magnitudes of documents together. So, equipment information is where it has all the models of the asset listed out. Of course, it builds the list of all the unique materials or parts which are required or part of the larger assembly, and also combining the quantities associated with each of the part or asset. But then coming to the hierarchical view, this is where it becomes interesting because we would want to maintain a hierarchy across the functional locations when it comes to the larger asset. And this is where the logical bill of material gets built out. The AI also provides an accuracy and suggestions where it observes that there is a potential error and would want the user to take a closer look at. Now, as I expand this, you can see where there are various part numbers out here from the catalog, and the quantities for each of the parts are also available. Now, this information is critical, and we can directly export this information into Excel spreadsheet. We can edit the information if there are any manual changes required. I can also look at what are the potential areas where the AI has observed or the agent has observed areas for correction or rectification. Now, here in the background, there are multiple AI agents working on the document to identify potential error candidates and giving us recommendation. These are the potential error candidates that we probably need to look at closer. Okay, this is particularly useful when you have documents which are scanned documents, and from the scanned documents you are looking to find out okay, are there any instances where the image quality is not really good, and you would want to extract the information and view the exact details. Now, once this list is exported, it is from a governance perspective, because you would want to create all the parts list in the ERP system, in the asset management system. So here we have an option to send this data to our governance platform. As soon as I send this data to our governance platform, there would be a report triggered in the governance platform where it will perform analysis to identify which parts are new to my master data, which parts are already existing, how do I create the parts, is there any potential improvement in the existing parts that was observed based on this catalog. All of this information can be viewed in the governance platform. I'll also cover that once we are through with AutoDocAI. So these records should have gone to the integrity data governance platform, which is for ongoing upkeep of the master data. Let me go back. I'll cover one more instance in the Autodoc. Let me upload multiple invoices here. Sorry. So I'm going to upload a bunch of invoices and ask the AI agent to perform extraction of details of what have I really purchased in past 1 year or so from a handful of suppliers or vendors across these invoices. So I've uploaded these. Now, okay, I'll select the template. Now, in addition to that, so I've selected a few fields which are configurable as per the template. So all these fields are configurable. I can add new templates as well over here if required. But then this is the invoice extraction template from which we'll look to extract all the key details. These are all files of invoices which are now ready for processing. Now there is one advanced option where I can also classify the data which is present or being extracted from the invoices. So I'll enable that. And while I enable that, the platform is also going to look to extract manufacturer details, supplier details if they are available in the invoices. Okay, let me click on extract invoice data. Should take just a few moments. It's processing all the invoices. You can see there are multiple count of line items present across the invoices. The first one has only one line item. Then the fifth one has 49 items. So let me just show the second one quickly. Should be coming up now below. So you can see the information. So there are multiple Allen Bradley switches that have been purchased. I'll see. Okay, these are all coming from Allen Bradley. All the electronic and electrical components are over here. Let me see. There are dollar values extracted over here as well. Okay. It also brings up the details about the vendor's address details and the vendor name as well as a part of this. Now, all of this is extracted and captured by the agent. Now, we have an option. We can send this data directly to Integrity for governance, or we can run some analysis and then provide the data to our governance platform. So, if I have to run the analysis, let me take a step back and actually go into our source IQ agent. Now, this particular agent is basically able to perform, query based analysis. Like I have a few sample queries out here. I'll just run those for us. So the invoices which I had uploaded were for 2024 spend across electronics purchases. So again, you would notice that what I've done is it is fairly a GPT-like interface where I can enter the prompt or query, and the agent would interpret it and generate the result. So let me write something in. And know whether we have some mistakes in spelling or whether we have some abbreviations, it should be able to interpret it just fine. Okay. So let me generate insights. Now, I probably should have mentioned whether I want to identify based on the transactions or based on the spend. But let it complete the first query, and then depending on the results, we can then modify the query as well. So here it has generated the preferred suppliers with total amount of spend. Okay, so this is classifying based on the spend, but then I can also identify based on based on total count of line items. Okay, so it will give us the transactions as well. Now these can be stored in the history. We can create our own favorite queries out here, which will allow us to pull up such reports quickly. The reports can be viewed in graphical way as well. So you can see total line items which are present across the invoices, and that gives a good, insightful information for procurement analysts and supply chain folks to actually act upon. Even the center of excellence can use this effectively. Now, sync invoice is basically another module of Source IQ, wherein apart from the chat, sync invoice actually allows us to identify the data trends, and then decide what needs to be carried forward to the governance process if required. Like I can select the frequency based on which I can narrow down the parts which have been frequently purchased, or I can select the different categories. I can select manufacturer or supplier based on which I would like Source IQ or sync invoice to filter out the results. I'll select, let's say, frequency of 2, and let me apply filters. So immediately I can export this in Excel again. It brings up records which are present, and you can see the records are also present across multiple invoice documents as well. So from multiple invoice documents, the platform is enriching these records or extracting these details. And now let's say if I have a use case where I would like to see all the invoices that are being processed over the span of last 1 year or 2 years, and then analyze it to identify, okay, which are the parts that I have frequently purchased. Now I can see these parts have been frequently purchased. It has been purchased at least twice over here. But then how do I ensure that when I send it to the governance platform, I don't introduce duplicates? So this is where the things get interesting. When I send it to the governance platform, what the governance platform does is it would create a report. And let me now go to the governance platform now. So let me log in into integrity. AST, rather I call it ASTF at the rate. Okay, we log in. So session has timed out. Okay, so now here I should be able to view reports, and I can see the Source IQ materials report. I can refresh this report. Let me just refresh by entering. So I think I had run this before as well, but I'll just refresh it. So now this report has the latest and greatest data, and this is coming from the export which we made from AutoDocAI. Now, here I have an option. What I can do is I can export these items, into an Excel, PDF, CSV format. But you can see that the platform has already run a governance to identify what is really new for creation and what are the duplicate records. Okay. Now, while it has identified the new records which can be set up in the platform for creation process, I'll also show how the bulk creation process would work in the governance platform. But then in the duplicate records as well, what it has done is it has identified a particular part that, okay, this item is being called out today as switch Ethernet. But based on Source IQ, where it analyzed the part number, it has identified that this is actually a Ethernet transceiver. Now, in this case, this particular item or even the next item where it is calling it out as a input module, these can be updated through integrity bulk management to ensure that the platform is able to improve the quality of existing data based on the analysis that it performs by leveraging the manufacturer name and part number. And of course, the categories which are assigned over here are as per the customer's taxonomy. So the Autodoc AI agent and Source IQ can be configured with client taxonomies to ensure that all the results align well with your existing standards. Now let me close this and move to the next step. So I'll just go into another setup of integrity is a demo environment. It is locally hosted, but then again, from a functionality perspective, I'll look to cover some of the other functionalities as well. Like I mentioned about the other agents as well, right? Agent like AutoSpec AI. Now, this agent particularly is able to extract, let's say if you have a vendor quotation, I can enter the vendor quotation over here. Of course, first thing that I want is the agent to tell me what category this belongs to. So it immediately gives us an answer that it belongs to ball bearing category. It has also assigned a UNSPC code over here. Now I can go ahead and create this record. I can skip the manufacturer name part number. Let's say, I just want to call it as unknown. I'll just leave it as unknown. Unknown. Okay. Now this is something that I'm skipping right now, but then it can be set up as a mandatory step, and you can eliminate the unknown entry over here. But then what I want to show is how does it work in getting the information from, let's say, this particular description that is present from vendor code. So here when I look to create item, what it does is it analyzes this, and it has already assigned the category, but then it will also populate the technical specifications. It has identified this as inside diameter or outside diameter width. Now, if I've entered the manufacturer name part number, then I would be able to enrich the information if I've entered a valid one. But then otherwise, what I can do is I can enter these details, and then it already started building a structured description, as you can see on the right hand side. Okay? But then a user would not always get all these details when he's trying to create a new record, right? So in that case, what he can do is, again, let's go back to create item, and let me show a use case where, let's say, there is a replacement requirement for a diesel engine for a aging asset, which could be a crane as well, right? So here the user can enter the minimum information. He can of course enter the manufacturer name, part number, or he can select the category if he would like to start off very quickly. Now, if I enter just a manufacturer name, part number, I can just trigger enrichment to identify the category. But uh, if I enter the category description over here, then I can select the category. I can enter the manufacturer of my choice. So I'll enter Cummins. Okay, I'll enter the model number. Let's say I create maybe new one, USB 9. Okay, so first and foremost, what I expect the platform to do is not simply go ahead and create it. It should rather perform a duplicate check. So immediately, as soon as I clicked on it, it found that this is in governance violation because this particular Cummins number already exists. So now what I can do is I can visit this particular material number and see the inventory value, which plant is it present under, and then if it is already present in my plant, then I don't even have to create. I can consume the existing inventory. So this is one use case. But then if the part exists in another plant, then I have an option to extend that material to my plant. Now coming back, let's say it's not USB 9, it's actually USB 7. Okay, I'm trying to create this particular part. Again, when I click on create item, it first performs a duplicate check. Since it did not find a duplicate, it should take us to the next window, which presents us the template of information that needs to be provided or filled in by the user for a diesel engine. It's also brought up a product image. Interesting. So now here, if the user has to actually research and fill in all the details, then it can be quite laborious and painful. But then the agent also gives, or the platform has an ability to make a call to the enrichment agent over here as well, where I can ask the agent to find the missing information, and can do this across multiple sources, manufacturer and supplier catalogs. But then once it enriches it, I can pick and choose information. I can pick and choose across multiple sources, or I can pick all of it together. you notice that it is also identified that it is an active part. So it also gives us an indication whether the part is active or has been discontinued. And this is what gets leveraged in OpsoCheck AI, where it performs a real-time check if the part is active, obsolete, or discontinued in the market. Once these details are all filled, it is all coming from a source of information, which could be the manufacturer's catalog. Let me quickly click on it. It's all coming from the manufacturer's catalog where these details are listed. QSB 6.7, QSB 7, both are present over here. And though these are the models of diesel engine, all the specs are available. So these are all leveraged by the AI agent. It provides this as the source from which the agent has performed the enrichment. But then uh, when I click for check duplicates, the first thing that it does is, before even checking duplicate, it will standardize all this information. By standardizing the information, now we are able to receive good clean descriptions for the item. Also, you can see that creation has been disabled. Now why is the creation disabled? Because when the specifications are being compared, it found one particular part where the specifications are exactly identical, the ones that have the key specifications being highlighted in red in green color. And this is where it asks us, rather than create, why don't you extend? And then I noticed something else as well, like USB 6.7 is the model number which is available. As Cummins also has mentioned out there on the catalog, that USB 6.7 and USB 7 are actually replacement parts. So here the platform does a performance or does a check on form fit function, but can find duplicates which are very relevant and meaningful for the business. And all of this happens right when someone is looking to create a record. This happens at the material level, vendor level, customer level, and also even if you're trying to create a service record as well. I can extend the material. Now, let me go back and maybe show one more illustration. I think we also wanted to look at the agent called Spare Seek AI. So now I'll take an example with the category of V-belt, and let's say it is part of the same maintenance order of the crane. So, let's say it's the same manufacturer, okay, that has been given in the handbook. Again, it's an OEM, right? So here, what the agent would do is, again, I've left web enrichment open. This is important to allow the platform to make a API based call. But then I can extract alternatives. So let's say if a part has been discontinued in the market, this extract alternatives function will basically help us find what are the suitable alternatives in the market. Might take a few seconds, yeah. But then here it brings up the suitable alternatives, and again it shows us on what sources has it found this as a potential alternative. Now, while the AI agent makes the recommendations, these sources or URLs that it provides is extremely critical to get a confidence on the information that is being recommended by the AI. And the AI, verifies that all the information is present in the source, so there are no hallucinations happening, ensuring the results are 100% reliable. Okay. Now, while I get these details for cross reference, once these are approved and I perform a check for duplicates, what happens is the platform will not only check for potential duplicates within the existing information of Cummins number, but also using the cross reference numbers. Currently, it is configured for up to three cross references, but depending on the requirement, we can this can be configured to capture multiple potential cross references, so that it gives you a holistic view about, okay, is this part already present in my catalog? Do I have something similar? If I have something similar, then I should rather evaluate if I should consume a similar part rather than creating a duplicate part. Now, from an integration standpoint, if I create an item or create, process a document, the platform, both the agent AutoDocAI as well as the governance platform, is able to integrate with multiple ERP asset management platforms. It is able to integrate with supplier catalogs. If you have a digital asset uh, directory of your catalogs or bill of materials, then it is also able to process the documents directly based on a periodic frequency that has been identified or configured. Processing engineering drawings, technical handbooks, invoices, to identify various data trends and then trigger a action where the parts get created or are suggested for creation through the touchless process. Okay. Now, let me quickly show a few other functionalities as well. Let's switch over. And this is where the bulk creation or bulk update process becomes very handy. And that particularly is useful for instances like this, where you have two items that you would like to create and then an item that you would like to update in the master data. This can be done in uh, all different modules: material, vendor, everything. Now, let me create an export job over here. I can select the material that I would like to export out here. Okay. Or I can select the category. So let's say, listed items listed in a category. Let's say I call the category of bearing. Okay. And test 2025 1204. Let's see. Okay. Or let me export just all items. And we can then select which items we would like to view closely. Sorry. So this should trigger an export mechanism or export function. It should take just a few seconds for the platform to export all the items. As you can see from the previous screen, it can host over a million records as well. In this particular case, let me go to dashboard. In this case, the archived requests itself are over 100,000. So these are the requests that were created, but then historical data is almost over a million. Now, here from the import perspective, I can create an import job, and in the import job, I can select the title, of course. Then, what type of import is it? Is it an import that I would like to run in an offline hour? Of course, because while the product is being used in a live mode, we would want to run the import function in an offline, I would mode where during the planned downtimes or non-business hours, the function from integration standpoint does not affect the production activities, because then of course it adds load to the APIs, which we want to make sure that does not happen in business hours. The file type can be selected. We can have Excel based or zip files. uh, Now here we have an option whether we would like to perform a duplicate check. So we can select that based on manufacturer name and part number, would we like to confirm if there are potential duplicates present in the data. Additionally, if there are parts that I'm looking to update. So I had an example in the previous screen where I was looking to reclassify an item. So the description needs to be rebuilt. Or if I'm creating a new item, then the description for those items also need to be rebuilt. So in that case, once the template is filled in, I can select what type of activity I would like to perform on the export, on the import job. Whether this is a new part that I would like to create with the approval workflow, and so plant level details may not be available upfront, right? So in that case, I can skip the plant level view validation, so that when the part goes ahead in the approval workflow, then at that point in time, the users who are responsible for the actual material can then fill in the plant level details and then approve the items, so that those then eventually get integrated with the ERP system. So these are some of the configurations that can be applied for mass changes, mass creation of items, particularly useful when you have a large asset that is going live, or you're onboarding a catalog from an entity that you maybe just acquired. In this particular test data has just been completed. Let me just download this. Sorry. So now this brings up okay, quite a detailed view, right? So it brings up all the records, but then every record has its own template. And based on the template, it has actually split it or best all the specifications. This is a spec view. But then there are, no, of course, conversion templates available with which you can convert the data into an integrity loadable format. It has the basic information, it has plant specific information, it has descriptions in multiple languages where required, where applicable. Purchase order data is also available. So all the master data is available, and then we can have the information updated by making the necessary changes, like Do we want to update it in integrity as well as in the ERP system? Is it an extension? Is it an update with an extension? Is it a deletion record? Is it a change in classification? So these are different types of requests that can be triggered in the mass import activity. So I'll just close this mass import file now. I think on the key aspects of the functions that we were looking to cover today, we did manage to address all of those. Again, from a use case perspective, harmonize looks to satisfy the use case of getting the legacy data to a quality, reliability, accuracy where it needs to be. Giving businesses uh, you know good vision from a reporting standpoint, allowing businesses to make the right decisions at the right time. Integrity, on the other hand, is a platform that is able to govern and maintain the quality of data that has been established. And then lastly, MRO 360. This is the platform that looks to drive the downstream value, because the value actually comes from inventory optimization, wherein making sure that we have the right inventory levels, ensuring that the critical parts are identified at the right time, and the criticality keeps on updating based on the failure rate, based on the observed trends across assets which are similar in nature but deployed at multiple functional locations across multiple plants. This is where MRO 360 proves to be a very powerful tool to give the business a visibility and actionable insights that they can convert to value. I think for today's session, this is all that we wanted to cover. I'll quickly check if there are any comments or queries on LinkedIn, and we'll try to address those. Otherwise, we can close the session as well. Let me stop sharing. Let me check on LinkedIn now. Okay, so I have one question that is regarding the Autodoc AI, and this is specific to equipment nameplate images. There is a question that if we have equipment nameplate images for all of our assets for a specific functional location, can Autodoc AI help? So yes, Autodoc AI can process through equipment nameplates. It is able to extract information through the even though the equipment nameplate may have engraved information, it is able to read through it. It is able to read it very similar to a subject matter expert actually reading through the image and extracting the information, where it recognizes that SF stands for service factor for an electrical motor, PF power factor. Then it will extract what is the shaft size, the the what is the RPM, what bearings are suitable for the motor. All these information generally are printed or engraved in the nameplate associated with the motor, which Autodoc AI would be able to enrich, extract, and then add to the master data. Okay, so I think this concludes the session today. Thank you for everyone who tuned in today. Certainly, the session is going to be available live, but then again, please look forward to any upcoming sessions from Verdantis, and we really appreciate your time today and look forward to speaking with you wherever you have interest in understanding more about our solutions and how we can add value to your organization. Thank you. Have a good rest of the day. Bye now.